remember now, and I don't know if I kept a journal at the time or not. But Bob went with me. I didn't have a car, obviously, so Bob went with me. I think he drove me to get the Cadillac, and the guy wanted $1,200 for it, and I didn't really have a lot of money back then. I was working, but I mean, I didn't have a lot of money. And I talked him down to $1,000. He wanted $1,200, and we kind of started to walk away, and he says, well, we can't afford it, you know. And Bob was with me. It's always good to have someone with you when you buy a car. The guy let us have it for $1,000. Let me have it for $1,000, which was nice. And so that's what I had. I had that car for some years. And we were going to, that was back when we used to go to Our Lady of Lebanon, and I used to park at Our Lady of Lebanon, and there was other people with Cadillacs, and all the Cadillacs would park together. It had a gold-plated hood on it. It was really quite a car. And I bought some. There was just a little bit of rust on it, not very much. It was a blue car, and I think it used to be yellow at one time. Somebody painted it blue. It was in good shape yet. And so I bought the paint, and I sanded down the thing so that it would be nice. And it looked nice. It looked like new. I made it look like new. And then Bong invited me over to his birthday party, and I had to go into Chicago to go to it. And no, that wasn't that car. That was a different car. But there was another car I had where I hit someone, and they let me go. That was an earlier car, though. That might have been that blue Ford. But then, when I had the Cadillac, somebody hit me on York Road, getting on the interstate, and it was their fault. And they damaged the fin just a little bit. They bent it just a little bit. They totaled their car. They were able to drive away, but their car was messed up bad. It looked terrible. And my fin was just a little bit bent. And I let them go because I was let go on that other car. Because, you know, if they would have held me to it, I would have had to pay a ticket. I would have had to pay a lot of money. And I didn't have much money. So I let this other party go, and I think maybe they would have gotten in a lot of trouble. Maybe they didn't have a license or something. I don't know. But I let them go, and they gave me $100 or a couple $100. And I let them go. And so that was a little bent for the rest of the time I owned the car. It wasn't worth. The light still worked and everything. It didn't even knock the light out. And then later on, I mean, I left Illinois with that car, and I had it in '95 when I went home. And then after I left home, I was home for 4 months. I went to the Stevens Point, and I went to the Mung store, and they had this picture of Zeppelin Cush, and it wasn't really for sale, but I talked him out of it, and I gave him $5 for it. It's a beautiful picture, though, and that was like one of my first nice posters I bought, I guess. I used to get the calendars and stuff. Long used to get me calendars, but I bought that, and I bought some groceries, and I went to Aldi's, and I went to leave the store, and the damn wheel fell off the car. This is the Cadillac. And the wheel, like, it wasn't the tire that fell off, it was the whole mechanism. It flopped out. And it was rust or something. I mean, I'd driven the car some years. This was, I think I bought the car in 94, I think I bought the car. So this was like in the late 90s that this happened. I had to have it towed, and it was, to repair it, was more money than the car was worth, and they told me that was wrong with it, and there was something else wrong too, I guess. And they said in order to get the car going, this wheel mechanism it just literally flopped over the whole wheel. I went to it's a good thing I stopped and got that poster, because I had already gotten the Aldi's, and then I went into town and I went to this little lung store. Got the poster. If I wouldn't have got that poster, that would have happened to me on the freeway or something like that at a higher speed. And I was in town, and I just like went around a corner, and the wheel like fell off practically. It was weird how it happened. The wheel, almost, I mean, the whole wheel and the tire and everything. The mechanism that holds it broke. Gave out catastrophically. Just a weird thing. And I mean, it was a 79 car, and it was in the late 90s. So I mean, it was just old. But Father Stan came and picked me up. I abandoned the car. I don't know if I got any money for the car or not, but I didn't have a car for a while after that. I didn't really have the money to buy a car, and that was the end of the Cadillac. And then Gene, who stayed at the shrine, he gave me his truck. He left town, and he says, here, I'll write it over to you. I don't know what his motivation was, but he gave me his truck, and this was the next vehicle I got, and it was like in 1999 he gave me that truck, and that was the truck I got in the accident with that I mentioned earlier. And when I got in that accident, I hit the car ahead of me, and I went over the tracks to the right, and it was a cold day, and there was black ice. That's what the policeman said. There was black ice, and that's why I couldn't stop. And they didn't give me a ticket because they said that there's nothing I could have done. But when I got into that accident, he had coins in there that I didn't know he had. When he gave it to me, I said, well, make sure you got everything out of the trucks. I don't want to take your stuff if you would toll money or anything like that. And because we had to pay tolls back then by hand. And I remember I used to pull up. I didn't have a lot of money back then. I'd get to the toll booth, and there'd be like money on the ground. It was almost at every toll booth there'd be money at the ground, on the ground. And so I'd open the door real quick, and I'd pay my toll. I did that sometimes. I mean, I tried to not inconvenience the people behind me, but I mean, there would be enough money, people would throw it in the basket, and they'd miss. And apparently they just throw more in to get the thing to go up the rail, and so they'd never bother to pick that up. I mean, I would. Money was worth something back then. Nowadays it's not worth anything. But I'd pick the money up and throw it in the basket to save money. I knew there would be money on the ground for a toll. I drove before I drove the Cadillac, I drove a